And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Link, and welcome to Oklahoma Sports Scene, our first show in the month of September. Take a look at our starting lineup. We start with week number 1 in college football. Wrap it up and take a look at also high school football with a big upset. Redzone's own Michael Knight will be here to tell us about that. Norm Hitzges joins us from Dallas, NFL insider, longtime Dallas Cowboy reporter. He'll have the rundown on the NFL season starting. Tulsa Drillers have their final homestand underway now at One Oak Field. Brain Carroll, the assistant general manager, guy in charge of the promotions, talks about a lot of promotions coming up. This final homestand for the Drillers this season. And the 155th season of college football is underway. The regular season will end on December the 14th. Then they go to 41 bowl games, along with the expanded 12-game college football playoff series. It ends in Atlanta on January the 20th, 2025, with a championship game. Take a look at our week 1 results for our Big Four teams, a clean sweep. My grades for the teams: Tulsa rolling over Northwest Louisiana State, 62-20, gave them a B. A B plus for OU's win over Temple, 51-3. Defense looked good, so the new quarterback. OSU dominated South Dakota State, 44-20, the best competition in the Big Four this week. Gave the Cowboys a grade A. Good-looking team. And Arkansas rolled over poor Arkansas Pine Bluff, 70-0. Give them a B just because that was Arkansas, and they go to Stillwater this weekend. Here is that schedule for this week. September 7th, Arkansas at Oklahoma State. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff. Cowboys here by 8.5. It's live on ABC. 6 p.m., Tulsa will be at Arkansas State in Jonesboro, Arkansas. And they're a 6-point underdog. That's on ESPN+. And 6:45, Houston at OU. The Sooners are 27.5-point favorite. That is on the SEC network. A couple of games of interest. Texas goes to Michigan, the Big House. They're a 6.5-point favorite over the defending national champion Wolverines. And Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, comes in with his Colorado Buffaloes, take on Nebraska. They're a 7-point underdog as the Huskers will play in front of their 398th consecutive sellout. All right, now let's check this week's Tulsa World Hot Topics. We'll start with the PGA's 39th and final event, the Tour Championship, the richest event in all of golf history. Tour Championship with a total purse of $100 million, $25 million to the winner. And cashing that check was, who else? Golfer's number 1 player, Scottie Scheffler. He's already surpassed the $25 million mark by winning the Masters, the Players' Championship, and the 4 signature events on the tour. Scheffler ended up winning by 4 shots. He shot 30 under par in the tour title, and this to his summer Olympic gold medal. He'll be sure to be named the Golfer of the Year. And by the way, he's also earned this year $62.2 million. The season's still not over for Scottie Scheffler. Pro football returns this week with a 2-time defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs kicking things off on Thursday night. They'll host the Baltimore Ravens. Then Friday night, Green Bay and Philadelphia play the first NFL game in Brazil. With Sao Paulo, the full schedule starts on Sunday. NFL season featuring the Dallas Cowboys at Cleveland. Feature that game, probably the debut of Tom Brady as the rookie analyst. The 7-time Super Bowl champion will be calling the network's feature game every week. He has a 10-year deal, by the way, for $375 million. Hope he's worth it. And just before the season opener, Dallas Cowboys star All-Pro receiver CeeDee Lamb signed his contract finally, the max $136 million deal for 4 years, $100 million guaranteed. How's that for the value of your OU degree? And coming up, Oklahoma Sports Scene, an in-depth interview with Texas Radio Hall of Famer Norm Hitzges on the NFL season and the Dallas Cowboys. Now the Tulsa Drillers closing out their 69-game home schedule as they host the San Antonio Missions from September 3rd through the 8th. It's the first 6-game series the Missions have played the Drillers this season. This Sunday night's final home game, by the way, is Fan Appreciation Night. Drillers Assistant General Manager and VP of Public and Baseball Operations, Brain Carroll, joins us to go over some of the team's great promotions for this final stand of the season. FC Tulsa fell 4-1 this past Sunday night to the Colorado Springs Switchbacks FC at One Oak Field, their first home loss since May. Switchbacks jumped out to a 3-0 first-half lead, but up 4-0 before the FC Tulsa group got on the scoreboard in extra time. FC Tulsa now has 2 home games next week, Wednesday against Las Vegas Lights FC and Sunday the 14th versus Louisville City FC. Both matches at One Oak Field kick off at 7:30 as FC Tulsa trying to hold on to that 8th and final playoff spot. Week 1 of the high school football season started with a massive upset. Our insider, Michael Knight, joins us to talk all things prep football in Oklahoma. That's right after this timeout.
Our story, it lives in Tulsa, where the spirit of the past lives alongside us. and urges us on toward a vibrant future. Because our story is still being written. It's the story of Tulsa, told by the journalists who live it and love it. Whether it's covering our rich history, bringing you the hidden gems of the food scene, or following the action in local sports. And here, in the Tulsa world, is where it comes to life.
Thoroughbred season at Remington Park continues into December with plenty of winning primetime action. Make plans now for Oklahoma Derby Day on Sunday, September 29th. The lone Sunday afternoon of the season begins at 3 p.m. with the richest race of the season, the Grade 3 $400,000 Oklahoma Derby as the main event. The normal Remington Park racing week is Wednesday through Saturday. First race nightly, 6:30 p.m. Visit RemingtonPark.com for all post times, group rates, and dining reservations.
You've seen the billboards, you've heard the hype, and now it's time for the Wee Street Ice Center to open its doors and welcome you in. 140,000 square feet, 2 ice rinks, public skating, hockey, arcade, game simulators, and the largest sports bar and grill is sliding into Tulsa. It's the grand opening of the new Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale. Make your plans, get your skate on, or watch some sports today. The Wee Street Ice Center, now open and ready to serve you. Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale.
I'm joined now on a video Zoom link with Michael Knight. He's the man behind PepRedzone.com. He is our official high school insider. And Michael, what a shocker to start the high school football season. Owasso, 4th ranked, number 40. Bixby, number 1, ranked 21. First loss for Bixby in some 17 straight games, and also had won 75 of the last 76. But all of a sudden, it was Owasso. Michael, you were there. What happened?
Yeah, I think that obviously the big story out of it is, Owasso upsets Bixby, but anybody who watched that game from start to finish, Owasso was the better football team. And so, maybe we should have given the Rams more credit coming into this season. We knew that Bixby wasn't as strong just because of everything that they lost from graduation. Obviously, they still have some very talented players, but a lot of it is unproven right now. So maybe we should have given Owasso more credit. That's kind of what I walked away with, where this is a very good football team already under first-year head coach Antonio Graham. And, for Bixby, for those out there that are ready to smash the panic button on the Spartans, we're just now into September. There's a lot of football left to be played. So this Bixby team that we saw lose to Owasso on the road is not going to be the same Bixby team that we see later on in the season.
I know you had a chance after the game to talk to the first-year head coach of the Rams, Antonio Graham, took over the legendary Bill Blankenship, and what a debut for the new Rams coach.
Yeah, and he was very quick to point out that it's week 0, and we're this is one game out of a hopefully 13-14 game season. So I caught up with him after the game and just talked about what it meant for him to get win number 1 as Owasso's head coach.
Well, it's kind of a curse and a blessing at the same time. It's one of them deals where next week can go leg, but you hope that momentum can carry and be good, man. It ain't over. It's just the beginning. That's it. And go enjoy the win and flip the switch on Sunday.
Michael, doesn't get any easier for Coach Graham and the Rams. It's Owasso at Jinx. Big game Friday night.
Yeah, and that's why he said, enjoy this one, but it's time to lock in once Sunday rolls around, because now you got to put the Bixby game behind you, go on the road to face a Jinx team that just beat Edmond Santa Fe 48-3. And for a first game of the year, Jinx looked about as perfect as you can look. KD Jones had over 200 yards of total offense. Their defense did a fantastic job of limiting Edmond Santa Fe's star running back, who's committed to Arizona State. So Jinx is, the new number 1 team in 6A1, and now Owasso tries to do it again for 2 weeks in a row, knock off the number 1 team in 6A1.
Well, 2 other big powers on the eastern side of the state here, Union and Broken Arrow, are both in Arkansas to start their season.
Yeah, Union goes on the road to face Bentonville. They had to rally down in the 4th quarter. They send that game to overtime, and then the defense getting a big stop in OT to beat a Bentonville team that was in the 7A state championship game a year ago. And then Broken Arrow, I don't know what it is with Broken Arrow. They really like Northwest Arkansas. They scrimmaged against Bentonville West a week ago. They opened the season against Springdale Harbor, and now this week they're hosting the defending 7A state champs from Fayetteville. So I don't know what it is with Broken Arrow. They really like Northwest Arkansas right now, but BA got off to a great start as well. Offensively, I really liked what I saw from their quarterback. Their running back had a great game, over 200 yards of total offense, did so on the ground, did it in the air. Octavian Robertson is his name. He had a good freshman season, but was kind of limited with injuries. And so he's back and looked the part again. But this is a big test for them this week as they host a Fayetteville team that, like I mentioned, is coming off of winning a state championship a year ago. The Tigers will be tested again, but they certainly looked the part early on in the year.
Battle of a couple of our private schools in the area here, and it was quite a game. Cassia Hall, Holland Hall, 29-28, Cassia.
Yeah, Cassia Hall coming back. They were down 12 going into the fourth quarter. That one surprised me. I thought that Cassia Hall would really handle business. I really like what they have offensively. Those who haven't watched Cassia Hall in the last year or so, they might not be familiar with what the Commandos do now, but they're a pass-first team. They're throwing the ball all over the yard. They have a very good quarterback in Barrett Mullen. And I think that, them coming back, beating Holland Hall the way they did, that's going to give them momentum going into the rest of the non-district slate. It doesn't get much easier for them this week. They face Rejoice Christian, who's a very talented team as well. But Cassia Hall, that was a big win for them. And obviously, in the Tulsa area, the Hall Brawl, as they call it, is a big rivalry game between those two.
Michael, you're all over the place. Tell us about the other games you saw. You're on the west side of the state, too.
Yeah, so I started it out on Thursday night. I went down to southern Oklahoma to Lawton for Lawton MacArthur and Elgin. Elgin getting the big win there, 28-7. That is a nasty rushing attack that Elgin has. This is the number one team in Class 4A, in my opinion. But then again, 4A is loaded. You have Wagner in that class. You have Tuttle, who got a big road win over Guthrie in that class. Then you have several other teams that are going to be in the mix in 4A. But right now, I like Elgin as that team to beat. That offensive line is ferocious. They absolutely mauled Lawton MacArthur from start to finish. That was a big win for them. And, moving forward, it's going to be fun to watch because Class 4A has been dominated by Wagner and Tuttle and Poto and Clinton. And now we got some new teams like Elgin, like we saw last year with Blanchard winning the state title. There's going to be a lot of competition in Class 4A.
Michael, the Muskogee Roughers thought they have a good team, and it looks like they got up to a good start.
Yeah, coming off their first state championship in nearly 4 decades last year. They might have had a little bit of rust, and they might have been celebrating a little too much as they started the season at home against Booker T. Washington. But they really turned it on, and when they flipped that switch, it was ball game for the Roughers. I think the final score was 56-21 or something like that. So they really took care of business. I think they scored 28 unanswered. It went from being a close game to a blowout. So the Roughers, I believe they take on an Arkansas team this week as well. Jamarian Ficklin, their quarterback, in my opinion, he comes into this season as the favorite to be this year's player of the year. He's fantastic, and he got off to a good start. That offense, it can be really special when it's humming. And, after a bit of a slow start against Booker T, it started humming.
Michael, let's wrap it up with, tell us about PrepRedzone.com.
Yeah, so we have high school football coverage every single day throughout the 2024 season. We cover high school football year round. So you can check us out at PrepRedzone.com/Oklahoma. This week, I'll be at Salina and Locust Grove, a little Eastern Oklahoma small school football. And then I know Jinx and Owasso is the main event this week, but I'm going to the Oklahoma City area for another main event-esque match, a rematch of this year's 3A state championship game between Lincoln Christian and Heritage Hall. Lincoln number 1, Heritage Hall number 2. I'll be in Oklahoma City for that one on Friday night. You can catch all of our coverage on PrepRedzone.com/Oklahoma.
And Michael will be with us all during the football season as well. We're going to come right back with pro football. The NFL season gets underway. Good friend of mine, Norm Hitzges, down in Dallas, talks about the NFL and the Dallas Cowboys. Straight ahead.
It's time. Time to get back to the basics. Time to meet up with family and friends. Time to play ball. It's time to cheer on your Tulsa Drillers. It's Hornsby time. It's Tulsa time in the heart of the city. It's time to fire it up.
Founded in 1960, Ed Bashira's Formal Wear and Fine Clothing has been dressing gentlemen for over half a century. We are family-owned and operated, offering premium brand tuxedos and accessories in our Tulsa store on South Harvard. Bashira's also does made-to-measure suits, sports coats, dress shirts, and slacks, and a top line of sportswear. We do tailoring on-site to assure the perfect fit so you will look your very best for that special occasion. Ed Bashira's Formal Wear and Fine Clothing, an Oklahoma tradition.
As the sun rises over eastern Oklahoma, we are devoted to one thing: improving the health of our communities, our home. We are your friends, your neighbors. We are the people of St. Francis.
The Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, home of the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award, is a treasure trove of memorabilia honoring Oklahoma sports legends. For museum hours or to schedule a tour, go to oklahomasportshalloffame.org.
Great honor to be joined by a Texas Radio Hall of Famer, longtime friend of mine, Norm Hitzges, who I can't believe thought he was going to retire. 48 years in radio there in Dallas, and of course very closely associated with the Cowboys and NFL football. But first of all, congratulations on being a Hall of Famer, Norm, and a great career there in Texas.
Thank you, Chris. But the honor is having worked with you so many times all those years ago.
A lot of fun together for sure. And now, of course, you got something
I will
else.
say this.
Yes.
We did die at the finish line a few times.
That is so true. Those are some other stories for sure. And you've also, of course, now you had to keep busy here. So you started, in fact, what is it, almost a year anniversary of your Just Wondering with Norm Hitzges and your wife, Mary, too.
Yeah, it's a podcast. It's going to drop back to 3 days a week during the football season. But it's Chris, it's not always sports, and it's real easy to find, and it's free. It's at Apple or Spotify or iHeart, any of those places. Just look for Just Wondering with Norm Hitzges.
And your wife Mary is involved too, and I love hearing about all your travels too. You guys have some great trips.
Well, we are confirmed lovers of travel, and I'm telling you, Chris, you know this, having traveled yourself. Every time you get to a place, you realize there are another 50 places you're never going to get to. Traveling is wonderful.
It is that for sure. And of course, all attention right now, it's football time across the nation. Thank goodness it's back here, and NFL about to start their 105th season, and we have 272 games to look forward to. Let's catch it on the Dallas Cowboys first here, Norm, and finally got CeeDee Lamb under contract. And what's the status of Dak Prescott?
Well, there doesn't seem to be any urgency here to getting Dak under contract. I think that the Cowboys assume Dak wants to stay here, which he does. And I think Dak assumes that the Cowboys are going to come put a massive offer on the table, which I guess they're going to have to. The dangerous thing here for the Cowboys is that if this rolls along and it isn't a terribly good season, and everybody's going to head for the woods because, Chris, there are tons of players in this team not under contract for next year. The coaching staff's not under contract for next year. And if bailing becomes the appropriate thing for a lot of players to do, hey, who's out there in the quarterback market next year? Now, whatever you think of Prescott, who's out there that's available that's even nearly as good?
And who can deliver 3 back-to-back 12-win seasons? There are a lot of teams that kill for that.
I agree. It's just killing the Cowboys that they can't do anything in the postseason.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, quite honestly, is offensive problems. The last 3 times they've been eliminated, they scored 19 points against the 49ers, 12 points against the 49ers, and after 3 quarters had 16 points against the Packers. That's putting way too much pressure on your defense. And a lot of the times the fingers there have been pointed at Prescott, fairly or unfairly, but they get pointed at a quarterback.
As usual, well, he's got at least one of his weapons back for sure. CeeDee Lamb showing the value known of that University of Oklahoma education. He just signed a contract worth $136 million.
You know, Chris, for the life of me, I don't have any idea what took so long to get this done.
Yeah.
I mean, they've known CeeDee Lamb's 5th-year extension is becoming for 4 years. And if they'd have moved aggressively with some urgency after the season, they may have gotten CeeDee Lamb at, I'm going to take a number guess here, 128, and saved themselves $8 million under the cap. Now, that may not seem like much to those who are listening to us talking. But the bottom line is the Cowboys are cash strapped in a lot of areas, and the salary cap is really tight for them. And to save a few million here or there is critical for this team. That's why they couldn't sign a lot of free agents this offseason. They simply didn't have the cap space. And why they didn't, Chris, how could they ever think the price was going to go down on CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, it was 3 years of the Cowboys so far, Norm. Almost 4,000 yards reception, 20 touchdowns, 2 Pro Bowls, and now they've had to guarantee him $100 million.
Well, as the months passed here, it was obvious that and not down. When Minnesota signed Justin Jefferson, another really good wide receiver, to 4 years and $35 million a year, I honestly thought CeeDee Lamb would ask for $1 more. But he didn't. He settled for $134. But all these months, the Cowboys have been offering him 31.5, 32. Oh, come on. And now he's missed all of the OTAs. He's missed all of the California portion of the training camp. And he's getting to camp and seriously starting to work out with what amounts to a week and a half till the season starts.
Norm, what's happened to the Dallas Cowboys? I mean, we're talking about a team with 25 division championships, 10 conference championships, and of course, 5 league and 5 Super Bowl championships. And now have not won a playoff game since what, 1990, 29 years, 1995?
Yeah, they haven't been to the NFC Championship game since 1995. Chris, you have asked the biggest question regarding this team. What has happened to them? They don't seem to have a sense of urgency. Now, people will point out that that's what happens when you're the general manager and the vice president, and there's never any chance you're going to get fired. Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
And they have good people to support them. Will McClay is an excellent player personnel director, but I'm not sure how often they take his advice as strongly as they should. Now, he picks players in the draft, but there's a phrase that goes along with drafting, Chris, and it's draft and develop. And if you draft and develop, you must keep. The Cowboys had Durance Armstrong for 4 years, turned into a fine player. He's gone. Free agency. They had the center, Tyler Biadasz. 4 years ago, they drafted him. 4th round. Great job. He's gone to free agency. You just can't keep thinking you are automatically going to fill holes on your football team with draftees. It's not an automatic situation. And it puts tremendous pressure on somebody like Will McClay. Because look at the Cowboys this year. Look at all the people who bailed on them. And they signed, in effect, well, if you count Zeke Elliott, but I'm not sure I'm counting him. But the center goes away. Oh, we got to have a center to draft. The left tackle, Smith, goes away. Oh, we got to have a left tackle to draft. Oh, the defensive end, Sam Williams, gets hurt. Oh, let's rush the rookie into that spot. And that's just not a productive way of running your football team. And it's going to get worse, Chris, because after next year, DeMarcus Lawrence is going to bail and Zach Martin is going to bail. Their contracts were restructured so that next year, this coming year, is the final year of their contracts. And I mean, what are they going to do? Draft another rookie guard? Draft another rookie defensive end? You can't pay 3 people, Dak, Lamb, and Micah Parsons, $130 to $135 million a year and have enough money to pay the rest of your roster to be significant enough to keep you afloat in the NFL.
We'll take a break, come back with Norm Hitzges to talk more about the NFL and the season getting ready to start. And of course, Cowboys may have their trouble on the field, but they don't have any trouble when it comes to the bank. The most valuable franchise in all of professional sports. We'll talk about that with Norm Hitzges after we take a timeout.
Tulsa Oilers hockey at the BOK Center. The ultimate experience of hockey and entertainment. Save big on season tickets today. Full season tickets starting as low as $17 per month for all 36 home games. Get your season tickets at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. Experience hard-hitting, glove-dropping, pulse-pounding, glass-rattling kind of thrill. Season tickets available now at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. This is your town, your team, your Tulsa Oilers hockey.
Around the clock, throughout eastern Oklahoma, we are devoted to one thing: improving the health of our communities, our home. We are your friends, your neighbors. We are the people of St. Francis. Our story, it lives in Tulsa, where the spirit of the past lives alongside us and urges us on toward a vibrant future. Because our story is still being written. It's the story of Tulsa, told by the journalists who live it and love it. Whether it's covering our rich history, bringing you the hidden gems of the food scene, or following the action in local sports. And here, in the Tulsa world, is where it comes to life.
And we're back with Norm Hitzges from the Dallas, Texas area here, where, of course, he's had some almost half a century of expertise in talk radio down there. Now, of course, it's a very popular podcast, Just Wondering with Norm Hitzges. And Norm, talk about just wondering what's going on with the Cowboys, but one thing for sure, They don't lose value. In fact, Forbes magazine said they're the most valuable franchise in all professional sports for the last dozen years. Last one I heard was valued at $5 billion. Jerry Jones knows what he's doing off the field.
Well, I think a lot of people just accept that and brush it aside. I can tell you, Chris, and I believe you can tell me, that making billions of dollars is hard to do. And Jerry is an extraordinary businessman. I mean, just extraordinary. And Chris, if you were here and were poking around the Cowboys, it is incredible how much land he owns in the Dallas area. He's got everything. People are building at the Star. But anyway, people say, well, all Jerry cares about is making money. I'm going to tell you that's not true. If Jerry could write a check today for $1 billion and be guaranteed winning the Super Bowl this year, I believe that check would be written in 15 seconds. But the Cowboys have lost their way in knowing how to win a championship. Look at New England. Look at Kansas City. When you're the people running those organizations, the general manager, well, let's step back a minute. Jerry's trying to be the fan and the general manager. Jerry, as the owner, is the biggest fan of this team and should be. The owner's got to be the biggest fan of his team. But what's the general manager? The biggest SOB on the club. He has to be.
Yeah.
He has to be bloodthirsty. You have to say, no, I'm sorry. We love you, man, but we're not going to pay you that. And look at what we just went through here. I know you have a high respect for CeeDee Lamb, and man, I do too. But a couple of years ago, Kansas City had a Super Bowl winning team. And Tyreek Hill wanted 1/3 of the world's output of money. And Kansas City basically said, hey, man, we love you, but we can't do that. To stay afloat, we cannot do that. And look at all the times over the years New England did that, Chris. They got good players, and said to them, I'm sorry, we can't do that. And that was the general manager. The general manager has to make nasty decisions like that. Decisions that are going to make him unpopular in the locker room, unpopular with the fan base, unpopular everywhere. But the franchise keeps going. It keeps rolling. And Jerry can't make those decisions. He gets very close to his players. He loves them. He wants them to stay. He gives them big money. They stay. And the seasons repeat themselves.
Jerry, now 81 years old. He's made no secret of the fact that the clock's running. He knows that. Wants a championship. But now I'm looking at all the preseason magazines and all the pundits, for whatever it means. Nobody thinks the Cowboys have much of a chance to win the NFC East or even make the playoffs again this year.
Well, I think those people should be just a little careful. This is still a good football team. And quite honestly, I think they had a pretty good draft this year. But they can't afford injuries, Chris. They're so paper thin. First of all, they got no running game at all. I mean, none.
Yeah.
They've got a bunch of guys named Herb or Zeke, if you will, running the football. And you just can't stay afloat in the NFL with no running game. But they're still a pretty good football team. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they squeezed in the playoffs again. But that's no longer the goal in Dallas. As you said before, you could have a 28-year-old child in Dallas, Chris, and he'd have never seen the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game.
Hard to believe.
Isn't it?
Well, we're ready now for 18 weeks of football, 272 games. How does Norm Hitzges handicap the season? Is it Kansas City going to make history, the Chiefs, so the first three-peat in the Super Bowl ever?
You know, they're such a good football team. Their coach seems to have no ego at all. Their general manager seems to have no ego at all. Their quarterback takes less money, now not a great deal less, but less money so that they might be able to afford another player or two. They draft like crazy. 2 years ago, Chris, in the Super Bowl, they started 2 7th-round rookies. That's beyond belief. And you keep expecting Kansas City to take a step back. Well, you better take a step forward if you're going to catch Kansas City, because I don't see them taking a step back. Now, all that being said, one team really intrigues me this year. Well, 2 really intrigue me. They're both in the NFC. One is Green Bay, who that quarterback is coming like a freight train, Chris. And the other is Detroit. And I have never seen in my days of watching the NFL a team so committed to its coach as are the Detroit Lion players. That you talk about the old thing of, well, they run through a wall for Dan Campbell. They would run through a wall for Dan Campbell. And they draft well, and they're right at the edge, bud. They're right there. It would not surprise me if Detroit were the team that unseated Kansas City.
Well, Norm, as always, been a real treat. I'm just hoping now that you and I live long enough to see the Cowboys win another Super Bowl, much less Jerry. So,
how old are you, Chris?
I'm 76, Norm. I'm about to be 77.
Isn't going to happen, Chris.
Thank you for that prediction, Norm. Hey, I'm just wondering when your next podcast will be, and look forward to enjoying that. And thanks again for joining us, and appreciate it. Have a great NFL season.
Anytime, buddy. Anytime.
All right, back after this timeout on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
You've seen the billboards, you've heard the hype, and now it's time for the Wee Street Ice Center to open its doors and welcome you in. 140,000 square feet, 2 ice rinks, public skating, hockey, arcade, game simulators, and the largest sports bar and grill is sliding into Tulsa. It's the grand opening of the new Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale. Make your plans, get your skate on, or watch some sports today. The Wee Street Ice Center, now open and ready to serve you. Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale.
Thoroughbred season at Remington Park continues into December with plenty of winning primetime action. Make plans now for Oklahoma Derby Day on Sunday, September 29th. The lone Sunday afternoon of the season begins at 3 p.m. with the richest race of the season, the Grade 3 $400,000 Oklahoma Derby as the main event. The normal Remington Park Racing Week is Wednesday through Saturday. First race nightly, 6:30 p.m. Visit RemingtonPark.com for all post times, group rates, and dining reservations.
Our story. It lives in Tulsa, where the spirit of the past lives alongside us and urges us on toward a vibrant future. Because our story is still being written. It's the story of Tulsa, told by the journalists who live it and love it. Whether it's covering our rich history, bringing you the hidden gems of the food scene, or following the action in local sports. And here, in the Tulsa world, is where it comes to life.
The Drillers started on April the 9th with 69 home games. They wrap it up this coming Sunday, September the 8th. Joining us now is Brain Carroll, their media director. Brian, let's talk about this final series. Of course, there are some great promotions coming up to wrap up the 2024 season at Waldo Field.
Yeah, there is, Chris. And, as we as we've entered into September, it's hard to believe that we're winding down. The season just went by so quickly, and it's like I told someone, that's probably a good thing. If it didn't seem like it went by quickly, that probably meant things weren't going very well. And so the fact that it's went quickly is a good thing. The team not finishing quite the way that you would hope, but we've seen a lot of talent come through, and some things at the major league level as far as injuries and some things like that just forced the Dodgers' hand to make some changes, probably a little quicker than they would have liked to, but it happens sometimes that way with injuries. But our guys are still playing hard, and they're coming off of a tough road trip. And here we are entering the final homestand. And like you say, we've got some good things coming up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we're going to finish the home part of our schedule with a bang. And it starts Thursday night. It'll be our final triple play Thursday, and it's discounted beverages. Football season's already started, but we're trying something new. We're giving away Drillers football jerseys on Thursday night. So get you an apparel item to get you ready for the football season. And in conjunction with that, we're going to have a guy I know you're close with, Chris. Billy Sims will be in attendance. And if you've met Billy, you know what kind of personality he has. If you haven't, come out and meet him. What a great guy he is. And I think sometimes maybe it gets forgotten how great of an OU player that he was, and then into the NFL as well. But a chance to come out Thursday night and meet a Heisman Trophy winner at One Oak Field.
Yeah, the 1978 Heisman Trophy winner, of course, just had his 20th anniversary of Billy Sims Barbecue a week or so ago, and I'm sure you'll hear Boomer a lot around One Oak Field coming up on Thursday. Well, the game's at 7 o'clock. The Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the final game of the season at home, will be a different time to wrap things up.
Yeah, the end of the season, we start a little bit earlier. It'll be a 6 o'clock first pitch, and that we know people go to work the next day, and we've got a post game fireworks show after that. We conclude the season with one of our bigger fireworks shows of the year, similar to what you would see around July 4th, and just kind of cap it off, and a celebration of a good season here. And we get it started just an hour earlier, so we get into that so people aren't out as late as normal.
To talk about some of the promotions that are going on at One Oak Field this week.
Yeah, and that caps it off. We talked about Thursday with Billy Sims and the football jerseys, but Friday we'll have another fireworks show in our Friday night fireworks there, and those are our biggest, most popular nights of the season, and that'll be the last one of those as well. And then that leads us into Saturday as part of that final weekend. And that will be Harry Potter night. That's I know that's big. We'll have 4 different types of Harry Potter caps to give away that night. So Chris, I know you'll want to be there for that.
Oh, yeah.
It's the different houses of Harry Potter, and it'll be random which hat that you are given as you come through the gates. So people might have to do some trading and things like that afterwards to get the one that they're looking for. But that'll be kind of a new promotion, and one we're looking forward to.
And the finale on Sunday is also Fan Appreciation Day, and I know you guys certainly do appreciate the fans really came out, supported the Drillers throughout the 24 season.
Yeah, it's been a good season. The weather wasn't always conducive. We had a handful of rainouts, and then it got hot during the summer. We had some breaks. Chris, our schedule didn't coincide with those weather breaks. We would have a break in the hot temperatures, but it would always occur when the team seemed like it were on an extended road trip. So we didn't get to benefit from some of those, and we had some hot weather games that made it a little bit more difficult, maybe a little bit more uncomfortable. But now that we've got a break in the weather, we'll finish it up with a little better conditions for folks to enjoy the last few games. And it's 4 nights of baseball. We've got Thursday night. We're tying it into the start of football season, and then on Friday night with the Friday night fireworks, it's also Oklahoma City Thunder Night, so a tie-in to basketball there. The Thunder girls will be here, their drum line and some other things going on, and they always do a real big performance with this game that we do each year. And the NBA season's not far off either, and there's going to be some good expectations, and a lot of people looking forward to that. So we'll kind of get that started as well, and that's always one of the bigger nights of the year.
Taking the diamond now, surprise! This is the very first meeting this season for the Drillers and hosting the San Antonio Missions.
Yeah, with the schedule change that Major League Baseball instituted in the minor leagues with the 6-game series, and trying to help with the travel and not making it so tough on the players, we don't see those teams from the other division as much as we used to. And that's the one negative to the change. The changes have been great, and for this with San Antonio, they're a San Diego Padres affiliate, and of course we're a Los Angeles Dodgers affiliate, and in the major leagues that's one of the biggest rivalries in Major League Baseball now, and it's going to be an intense month, final month of the season for those two teams trying to vie for playoff positioning. So we're kind of the AA version of that great rivalry, and Chris, the players know that. They've seen these players coming up through the system, so it'll mean a little something. And this wraps up the home schedule, but then we have one more week on the road, and we go to Wichita for that final week, and that's part of what we've started as the Propeller Series. And we have a 2 games lead on that for the Propeller Trophy. And so there's going to be something to play for that last week of the season as well. As far as the Texas League, our rivalry with Wichita is right up there towards the top. So that'll even if teams are eliminated, that gives us something to play for.
That's September 10th to the 15th in Wichita. But for us, One Oak fans, get out there for the Tulsa Drillers. They wrap things up on Sunday the 10th. So it's going to be a great week of promotions, Brian, and wish the Drillers all the best. Look forward to having Manager Scott Hennessy on in a couple of weeks to wrap up the season with us.
Thank you, Chris. It's been a great year, and we appreciate all that you've done for us and having us on. It's very beneficial, and we appreciate you.
And we thank you for your support. We'll be right back with more on Oklahoma Sports Scene when we return.
It's time. Time to get back to the basics. Time to meet up with family and friends. Time to play ball. It's time to cheer on your Tulsa Drillers. It's Hornsby time. It's Tulsa time in the heart of the city. It's time to fire it up.
Our story, it lives in Tulsa, where the spirit of the past lives alongside us and urges us on toward a vibrant future. Because our story is still being written. It's the story of Tulsa, told by the journalists who live it and love it. Whether it's covering our rich history, bringing you the hidden gems of the food scene, or following the action in local sports. And here, in the Tulsa world, is where it comes to life.
Tulsa Oilers hockey at the BOK Center. The ultimate experience of hockey and entertainment. Save big on season tickets today. Full season tickets starting as low as $17 per month for all 36 home games. Get your season tickets at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. Experience hard-hitting, glove-dropping, pulse-pounding, glass-rattling kind of thrill. Season tickets available now at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. This is your town, your team, your Tulsa Oilers hockey.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Sports Scene. The owner of the Tulsa Oilers hockey team, the owner of the Tulsa Oilers indoor professional football team, and the Wee Street Ice Center, our friend Andy Skirdo. Andy, I got to ask you, this 100-degree hot Oklahoma summer, how do you keep the ice in the Wee Street Ice Center frozen all the time?
We have a huge chilling unit out there that keeps the floor under that ice is about 18 degrees.
Right. Wow.
So it keeps it hard. You'll notice in this temperature when they run the Zamboni, which they're doing behind us,
yes,
it takes a little longer to freeze, but it gets it done.
All right, we just wrapped up the Oilers football season, a 6-10 record, big improvement over the inaugural season,
yeah,
and so close to the playoffs.
We really were. Again, we had several games that a point we lost by would have put us in. We needed one more win. to make the playoffs. The final team that we beat the heck out of actually just won the first round of the playoffs.
Massachusetts?
Yeah. They beat Frisco in the playoffs. So
we beat them here 44-25 in our final game,
yeah.
too.
So, I mean, we were close. We were very close.
Let's turn now to the ice. Ice Rollers hockey team, and the team clinched a playoff berth, 4-1 victory over Allen Americans in the very last game of the season.
Yeah, they had to make it tough on the owner this year because we had third place locked up, lost 10 straight. Oh my God, injuries.
Oh.
We had 10 people out on injured reserve all at one time.
How many on the squad?
I mean, we had a 32-man roster with 10 out.
Wow,
it's crazy.
third of the team.
So many injuries. And then we finally won that last game to get the playoff spot. Of course, we had to go up against KC, who was really good this year and went all the way to the championships. But
and lost to them 2-1 to end the season.
Yeah.
Tough.
So it was an okay season. We want to do better next year, but it was okay.
72 games played. Oilers finished with a 30-33 record. And what I'm impressed by, though, looking at some of the other teams, the Kansas City Mavericks, who won the championship game, they averaged 3,700 fans a game. Allen Americans put 4,300 a game. The Wichita Thunder, 4,300. Rapid City, 3,500. Oilers average 7,378 fans a game. We're awfully happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're in the top 5. Last season, the fans were phenomenal. We set 3 attendance records for the league. Wow. Number 2, number 5, and number 7. We already hold number 3. The Tulsa Oilers are 5 of the top 7 attendances in the ECHL.
Ice Oilers open their 73rd season in Tulsa. The home game Saturday, October the 19th in the BOK Center against Rapid City. They'll play the same team on Sunday, an afternoon game. Check out the Oilers website now, by the way, for special 2-for-1 season tickets. A thoroughbred race meet in Oklahoma City now moves expanded to Wednesday through Sunday racing. We're right back with this week's Remington Report and a special profile on a young jockey who's really turning it on. This Lady Rider is something else in Oklahoma City. That's next.
Tulsa Oilers hockey at the BOK Center. The ultimate experience of hockey and entertainment. Save big on season tickets today. Full season tickets starting as low as $17 per month for all 36 home games. Get your season tickets at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. Experience hard-hitting, glove-dropping, pulse-pounding, glass-rattling kind of thrill. Season tickets available now at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. This is your town, your team, your Tulsa Oilers hockey.
As the sun rises over eastern Oklahoma, we are devoted to one thing: improving the health of our communities, our home. We are your friends, your neighbors. We are the people of St. Francis.
Thoroughbred season at Remington Park continues into December with plenty of winning primetime action. Make plans now for Oklahoma Derby Day on Sunday, September 29th. The lone Sunday afternoon of the season begins at 3 p.m. with the richest race of the season, the Grade 3 $400,000 Oklahoma Derby, as the main event. The normal Remington Park Racing Week is Wednesday through Saturday. First race nightly, 6:30 p.m. Visit RemingtonPark.com for all post times, group rates, and dining reservations.
Now to Oklahoma City for this week's Remington Report with Dale Day. But first, Richard Lenahan has a profile on a very special female jockey from Mexico, making a real impact on the Oklahoma City track.
As we move into September at Remington Park, let's take a look at jockey Sofia Barandella. She is here in her second complete season, and she's doing very well, especially with the long shots. Richard Lenahan has more.
When Sofia Barandella was a little girl, 4 years old, she would visit her grandpa Luis in Mexico, and he would tell her bedtime stories of great racehorses. He had a painting of one named Hyperion on his wall, and Sofia would stare at it with wonder. She has wanted to be a jockey ever since she was knee-high to a grasshopper.
He's the one that showed me everything about animals and horses. I think because of his influence, I'm a vet and a jockey. Even though he wasn't happy I was a jockey at the beginning, because of course he grew up with the mind that girls are not to be jockeys. And he said, I'm gonna be tall and beautiful, and I didn't grow tall too much.
Barandella is one of the top 10 jockeys at Remington Park this meet. She is one of the best long shot riders on the grounds, winning most recently with 16-1 long shot Arsonist on August 23rd. She loves being back at Remington Park after going 1 for 33 at Canterbury in Minnesota, riding against her fiancé, Serafine Carmona.
Back of my favorite people that support me, and it's just, I feel comfortable, everything.
Barandella was a veterinarian for a few years before finally deciding to become a jockey at 35 years old 3 years ago. Living out her dream was divine intervention for Barandella after saving countless street dogs, horses, and chickens in her time as a vet.
Every time we went to the racetracks as a vet to check on the horses, I was just turning my head for the races. So I just sat down again with God and said, God, just give me a sign.
One of Barandella's greatest strengths is getting a horse out of the gate and playing catch me if you can with her competition.
I have to give my people from Mexico credit to teach me to break out of the gates. I feel very confident, even though some guys sometimes make fun of me because I enter ready. And I'm just there ready. You can't distract me. I'm ready to go. I'm not scared. I'm not tired. I'm ready. And many times it works. I'm out there and let the horse do his job.
Barandella has recuperated from the losing drought in Minnesota, and after a couple of weeks of the Remington Park meet, she had the second highest win percentage among jockeys, behind only leading rider Stuart Elliott. She has tons of support here, and her goals are simple now.
Because every time I plan, God has better plans for me. So I just say, you know what I want, you know what is in my heart, and what's the best for me. So I ride every day like it's the first and the last.
Speaking of jockeys, David Cabrera had a big night on Thursday, August 29th. He's battled through injuries for the past couple of seasons, but it looks like he's healthy and ready to win big once again at Remington Park. He scored a riding triple on August 29th with an $18 winner in the opener, Okie Magic. Then in race number 4, Daryl's Trump Card came home a long shot and paid $33.80. His third and final win came in the featured sprint race at race number 7 on U.S. Army. U.S. Army was the heavy favorite and paid $3.20. A stakes winner last year in the Jeffrey Hawk Memorial, U.S. Army looks primed and ready to go. And with David Cabrera up, U.S. Army may have another big stakes winning season later on. Let's take a look at the weekly schedule now as Wednesdays are in the mix. Wednesday through Saturday, basically the schedule now for the bulk of the season. First race nightly, 6:30 p.m. Don't forget, Thorough Enduro, the free online handicapping game, begins on Friday, September 13th. Go to RemingtonPark.com, click on Thorough Enduro, and sign in or register to play. The game starts September 13th. It's free to play. Grand prize, a seat to the National Horse Players Championship 2025 in March in Las Vegas. And Oklahoma Derby Day fast approaching Sunday, September 29th. First race on the big and only Sunday of the season at 3 p.m. In Oklahoma City at Remington Park, I'm Dale Day. Now back to Sports Scene.
Next week on Oklahoma Sports Scene, we celebrate the birthday of ESPN, the sports network, with a guy who had a lot to do with the founding of it, Tulsa's own George Connor. He'll be a special guest with us as we salute ESPN next week, later on Oklahoma Sports Scene. Until then, as we always remind you, be a good sport.